Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday, the 29th of March, edition 203. My name's Gary.
That is the most tedious introduction. Viewers, you'd probably be aware that I always do the introduction, and it comes across with bounce and enthusiasm. And Mr. War and Peace over there with your 300 paragraph introduction. I'm Philip Kingston. Let's get into the week that was, Gary.
It wasn't much of a week.
Tell me, how was your Easter?
Wonderful.
Because it looks like you ate a lot of Easter eggs.
Leave me alone there, Phil. I've actually trimmed down.
You know what? You might have trimmed down, Gary. But I'm looking into the phone as we speak, because we've had a viewer send me an SMS, and I think Richard's going to be rather pleased because. Yes, you are looking better this week.
I'm going to get you
because you've had a haircut and you've had your eyebrows trimmed. Because I got a text from Richard saying,
ridiculous,
and I'm reading from it now. I think you need to encourage your GPTV co-host to trim and cut his eyebrows.
Look, it's the European look.
He's looking too much now like the original Scheherazade guy behind the coffee machine. Remember him? Now, that man was a fellow by the name of George Seleznikov, who actually was responsible for bringing in the first espresso machine into Australia.
What's wrong with being compared to him?
Hopefully we're going to have some footage that we can bring up of him now to see who he might have been. Your birth father.
He may have been, Phil, but I got to tell you that I've got no problem being compared to a European pioneer, unlike your boring look of just svelte nothing.
Gary, just because Richard's had a sent in something about you don't have to have a go at me.
Yeah, well,
let's talk about your Easter, Gary.
Have a go at me.
How was your Easter? You had a break. You didn't do any auctions. You didn't do any open for inspections. What did you do?
I'm not saying anything now. I'm very upset.
Well, viewers, Easter weekend right across.
How was your Easter weekend, Philip?
My Easter weekend was lovely. Melbourne was very quiet on the weekend, given the fact that there were no auctions to speak of. Certainly none at Gary Peer and Associates.
No.
This is one of the very few holiday periods where we don't hold any auctions.
Did you have a holiday? Did you go away?
Gary, I just mucked around the house and did a few things.
Oh, you were busy in the garden, weren't you?
I was busy in the garden.
Yeah, because you've got those green fingers, haven't you?
Well, I've got a bit of a vegetable
garden. Do you wear that in the garden, by the way? Is that how you dress?
Actually, I've just come in from the garden.
Yeah, very good.
Let's talk about the week that was, though, Gary, and let's talk about what's coming up this weekend.
Yeah. The week that was nothing, Phil, really. Okay. Yeah, but mind you, we did get some good listings.
We've got a great interview coming up, the part 2 session with Enzo.
We have, Philip.
Enzo Raimondo, for those of you that didn't watch last week, is the president of the Real Estate Institute of Victoria. And we're going to be talking to him this week about the most contentious new laws of the whole underquoting system.
Well, are they contentious?
Well, they're contentious if you're agents that aren't as professional as we are, Gary.
Well, then they're not contentious.
Well, they are contentious because a lot of agents aren't as professional as we are.
So they're contentious for other agents' laws, but not us.
For 80% of the industry, which are not as professional as us, it is contentious. But for people like us,
where did that statistic come from?
I just made it up. Well, do you know that 80% of statistics are made up on the spot?
Very impressive. Good to know, Philip. We are going to go across to that shortly, and it is a juicy interview and. We've had some good feedback from Enzo last week as well.
From Enzo or about Enzo?
From others observing and listening to Enzo on the show, Philip. A lot of people tuned in to hear what he had to say, and so they should, because he's a man to be listened to and respected, Philip.
Notwithstanding... We said last week, sorry.
Notwithstanding that at the start, you were talking about his beard and being hipster and... which I thought was...
Perhaps disrespectful?
A little disrespectful.
No, I don't think it was disrespectful, Gary. I think it was really just making...
Jocularity.
No, it was making sure that we relaxed Enzo and made him understand that this is a show...
So that's how we relax him.
This is a show for the people, as opposed to, the academic world or the
politicians,
seriously professional world or the political world. This is a show for the people.
It is.
We make this show for the people.
It's a people's show, Phil.
Anyway, we're really rambling now, Gary.
Let's talk about this weekend coming up, Philip. Let's just cut to the chase, because this weekend we're back in business, Phil.
How many options?
We start off with, it's April this weekend. Just in case you didn't know, we've got this is the last Tuesday in March. Does that make you sad?
I like March.
I like March too.
March is a good
we've
month.
Got 9 auctions this weekend, Philip. Shall we review them?
Fairly quiet weekend for us, Gary.
Not a big or busy one, Phil, but it's all going to start happening through April and May. Busy months ahead. Let's talk a little about the properties we've got coming up.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
We start off, Philip, at 10:30 on Saturday. By the way, don't come to work on Saturday. You're not needed.
Really?
And you're not welcome.
Wow.
Because you're not doing any auctions.
Might go out and have a look at some open for inspections, Gary.
Well,
I'll put my gardening outfit on.
That's right, you can.
And go
So,
out.
take the gloves off, though, Phil. We're starting off in Dandenong Road. I am the auctioneer of this wonderful apartment. 27 at 250 Dandenong Road, St Kilda. It's an affordable opportunity.
Gary, I love this apartment. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, courtyard garden. That's a huge rarity. And I love Dandenong Road. It's close to everything.
And low threes represents good value, I would
It does.
think, Philip.
Yep.
Waverley Road, Malvern East, another favourite address of ours, Leo Samuel Auctions, also at 10:30am.
Gary, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, beautifully renovated throughout, lovely building and great position.
Inkerman Road, Michael Jonas brings this wonderful apartment to the market together with Jeremy Rosens as auctioneer.
And Gary, we love Inkerman Street and we love Inkerman Road as well. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, beautifully renovated throughout. You've got to love the floors right throughout that apartment. Terrific.
Oh, I didn't think there were any flaws, Philip. I think it's really a perfect apartment.
You know, you are pathetic this week. That's what happens. You have a break and you come back as
We're no good having breaks,
this
are we?
doddering old fool of real estate.
Philip, Inkerman Street.
Put your teeth back in now, Gary, and get on with the show.
Let's talk about Inkerman Street in St Kilda, Philip. 205 at 109, Jeremy Rosens follows up the other auction with this one.
Gary, a little bit of trivia there. If you buy this apartment, you can walk to Aldi.
Wow.
The third shopping force in
Yes.
Australian retail. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, 1 car space. A really good modern building, Gary, and that's walking distance also to our office and the Newmarket Hotel. How sexy is the Newmarket Hotel?
Pretty cool, isn't it?
You know, it's been around now for a couple of years,
Yep.
and it's still a thumpingly
They
good
don't
spot
do
to
the
go.
schnitz and, night anymore.
Don't
Is that
they?
the schnitz?
Yeah, it was-
schnitz and ladies' night there.
Yep.
And it
Read
was
into
good.
that what you will.
No, well, it was part of, it wasn't
Yeah,
a secret.
St Kilda
It was a
folklore.
St Kilda folklore thing, Philip. We used to go there with the kids and then we'd leave.
We used to go there with the kids.
We'd have the schnitz, but then we'd leave before the show came on, Philip,
Right.
because that wasn't necessarily appropriate.
You know, the
but the
Peer,
schnitz was
the
good.
Peer family, they are, ridiculous
Leave-
family.
leave it at that.
Everyone in
And
your
my mother came,
everyone
everyone
in
came.
your family was, you're ridiculous. Your wife is ridiculous. Love her as I do. One of my best, in fact, she's my best friend.
Yeah, thank you.
But she's ridiculous
Yeah.
as well. Daniel Peer, enigmatic,
Party boy.
calling it enigmatic party boy. And Nina,
you, yeah.
Nina is
Quirky.
Nina is the quirkiest person I think
Yeah.
you'll ever meet.
She's
But she's
magnificent.
gorgeous, and I wish she was
Yes.
my daughter.
Yeah, well, there you go. Stay away from it. Thanks. Phil, let's start off in Trevelyan Street. In fact, stay away from all of our family. We'll all be better off that way. 99 Trevelyan Street. Philip, we're here.
We're here at the moment, Gary.
Right
Let's
now.
have a look around this house.
Yep.
Firstly, Trevelyan Street, I reckon, is one of the best streets of Caulfield South.
Yes.
You drive down this street, it's
It
got
is.
a beautiful streetscape, a treescape, and the quality of homes in the street, I think, is second to
And
none.
take us through this beautiful home because we're here
Gary,
right now.
4 incredible bedrooms, 2.5 magnificent bathrooms, beautiful entertaining areas. Of course, this lounge room where we're sitting, looking through to the dining room, looking through to the kitchen meals family room that looks directly over the most magnificent back garden,
Loving that pool, Phil.
complete with swimming pool. You could call this Trevelyan Street, or you could just call it Club Med Caulfield South, Gary. A beautiful family home in a top street. Looking forward to this auction.
We're going to work you hard on Sunday, Philip. We're going to make you pay for that day off the
Yeah.
day before. We're off to Atira Road at 11:30. This is a wonderful property.
Gary,
We're excited about
it's
this
an
one.
incredible property, but an incredible street as well, right in the heart of the Golden Mile of Caulfield
It's one of
North.
my favourite streets, Philip.
Well, fair enough. And so it should be 3 magnificent bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, double lock-up garage. That's a solid brick property, Gary, that was built by a couple for their retirement, essentially.
Yep.
And they lived it, they loved it, and it was a big family, happy home, but very much built around a couple living there and wanting big entertaining spaces. So a beautiful home.
Phil, at 12:30 we head off to Maurice Street.
No, Gary, it's not Maurice
It is Maurice
Street.
Street to me.
Gary,
Yes.
viewers, this is Morrice,
That
and
is
whichever
Maurice.
way you pronounce
Maurice.
it, it's Morris. It's Morris Street.
No, it's Maurice Street.
It's not Maurice Street. If it was Maurice Street, it would be Maurice.
That is Maurice, Philip.
So this is purely 26 Morris Street in the heart of Caulfield North. A big, luxurious family home.
It was on the
incredible
front
home.
page of the local paper. Phil.
5 bedrooms, Gary,
Yep.
3.5 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, the most magnificent alfresco area where we did film GPTV. Viewers
did.
may be familiar with that home.
They
What
should be.
what a lovely offering that is.
1:30 p.m. We're going to hop off from there, Philip. You're going to be doing the auction in Dandenong Road.
Hop off, is that the Easter
Yep.
Bunny
That's
theme?
the
is it?
Easter Bunny theme. We hop
Oh, so we're hopping to Dandenong Road, unit number 6.
Grand Prix, we would speed down there.
Yes,
Easter
Gary,
Bunny, we
thank
hop.
you. Unit number 6 at 332 Dandenong Road, St Kilda East. Great opportunity for a first home buyer or an investor. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 undercover car space. And as we've said before, we love Dandenong Road because it's so accessible to everywhere you want to go.
I won't be able to join you there, Philip, Dandenong Road. I'm sorry, you'll have to do that auction alone because I'm going to be doing another auction around the corner in Hawthorne Road. I am loving this magnificent, it's like a townhouse, penthouse style property right opposite the park with beautiful park views, Philip. This one excites me. Tell us
Gary,
about it.
well, it should excite you. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms and a basement car park for 2 cars. This is directly opposite Caulfield Park, which is, in my opinion, the second best park in Melbourne, closely behind the Royal Botanic.
Yep.
It's not the Botanical, it's the Royal Botanic Gardens, Gary. But Caulfield Park is fantastic. So when you buy there, you've got the tram, cafes on your doorstep, and of course, across the road, the second best park in Melbourne, Caulfield Park.
I agree with you. On this occasion, I do agree with you.
Gary, let's wrap this up very quickly because we need to make way for Enzo. Have you got anything further that you'd like to add to this week's GPTV? Well, we know that, but is there anything else you want to say before we cut to Enzo?
No, I think we could cut straight over to Enzo. We'll wish everybody a wonderful week, and I hope everybody had a good Easter break.
Let's hope that April is a brilliant month in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Let's introduce Enzo once again.
Here we go, underquoting laws. Let's speak to Enzo Raimondo.
So Enzo, great to have you back again, 2 weeks running on GPTV. That's quite a coup for us, I don't know.
Yeah, and I wore the same...
And so do we, viewers, so do we. Those astute viewers might notice that what a coincidence that we do this 2 weeks running and we all wear exactly
because we thought we got it right, Phil. We thought we felt so good about it. We thought, let's just not change anything. We'll
but Enzo, we wanted to have you on 2 weeks in a row. Firstly, it was great having you on last week, and the viewer feedback spiked, I've got to tell you. We had so many people send us emails in saying we should have you on the show more. Yep. So we're going to get you to anchor it now on a regular basis.
Oh, great.
But we're having you on today because the whole market, the whole media has gone into meltdown on the whole underquoting issue.
Sure.
And underquoting raises its head every time we have a boom market.
Yep.
When the market's in the doldrums or it's not doing anything or it's just flatlining, no one really takes much interest in real estate or real estate agents.
Or quote prices.
But you start to get a frenzied market and journalists and buyers and sellers and the local community go berserk saying, agents, those navy blue suited BMW driving slick people that we love to hate, what are they doing? They're always underquoting and the price is always going higher. So, can you explain to us, firstly, what is underquoting?
Right. Well, the legal term for underquoting is that if you have a price on an authority, so the agent's estimate on the authority given to the vendor, say it's 8 to 880.
Yes.
And you know that you've written 8 to 880 on that authority, but you advertise the property under that price. Right. So you advertise it for 700 plus.
Yes.
That is underquoting.
So that is an immediate big cross against the agent's name. And viewers, let me just explain that to you. Let's say Enzo is selling his house and I come to see him and we agree on an auction date and time, and I say to Enzo when I'm filling out the auction authority... You're required to put a figure in. Because I'm required. Yep. And I say to him, for purposes of this authority, Enzo, I'm giving you an estimate of the value of your home. It is no greater than 10% apart. So I've put 800 to 880,000.
That's correct.
If I was to advertise or mention the value of the property to be less than 800, which is the lowest figure on that authority, I am now technically underquoting.
So let me ask you a question. We had an auction on the weekend, and I was very involved in the file on this property. So I've done my due diligence. I've checked this property out. It's got a lane down the side. It's got a block of units overlooking it, and it's on a main road. So I've looked at it, and it's a good house, but it's got a few impediments. So I've looked at some of the other sales. I've thought, look, this should probably get around 1.3. Maybe it'll get more into competition. So I've taken a conservative approach with the vendor. I've said, look, I think you'll get good interest between 1.2 and 1.3. I put on the authority 1.2 to 1.32. The auctions come around. We've marketed it at that level. The auctions come around. The reserve was 1.3, which is in the range, and it sold for $1,816,000. Have I underquoted that?
No, not at all. Okay. I can understand how someone...
I mean, a buyer's going to say, you underquoted.
Someone who's missed out, or someone who's, had an interest in the property, sees it advertised for 1.2 to 1.32, then
The end result?
1.8, so immediately think underquoting.
Yep.
And this is the problem with the perception of underquoting out there. It is a strong market at the moment. Agents they're required by law to put in an estimate based on their due skills, knowledge and experience,
Yep.
and supported by comparables, right? And that's what happens. But two people at an auction may take it way above what the vendor even wanted or was happy with. So that's not underquoting. I'll tell you what is underquoting though, because I often, I'll get the odd email on a Monday morning here after a Saturday, where someone's gone to look at a property and they've been told by the agent, oh look, 800,000 will buy it, low eights will buy it, then they pass it in at $1 million.
Yeah, that's bad
That
business.
is not good.
That's bad business.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and this is where it's interesting, he might have still correctly filled out the authority, so technically it's not underquoting. Is it underquoting or is it misleading and deceptive conduct?
Or
I would say it would be misleading and deceptive. If you have any idea through the auction campaign that it's going to be way above what you've said, then you have an obligation to adjust your advertised price.
Let me ask you put another position to you. We're selling for a vendor. We've quoted it at 1 to 1.1. The vendor accepts that. We price it at that in the market. The buyers are interested. The vendor goes to an auction the week before their auction, and they see something sell for 1.3.
Or even the day before, or the hour before.
Okay, and they see something sell for 1.3 that is similar. So they rock up to their pre-auction, and we don't believe in committing vendors to reserves. We think they should have the flexibility of deciding. We're not interested in nailing vendors to a figure in our auctions.
Yeah.
And then they say to us, well, Gary, we've just seen this one and ours is just as good, so we want 1.3 now. How do we get out of that? I mean, we're in, no buyer will forgive us, and we're caught in the middle of that scenario.
Yeah. And look, and that's just part of the market. I mean, if the vendor doesn't have to disclose anything, I mean, they can wait till an hour before the auction and say, well, this is what I want. I mean, government doesn't with their auction. They don't tell you any idea of what they want. You just go and auction.
That's very true.
And I think it's a vendor's right to be able to say either the day before or the morning of or whatever period they're happy with after the 4 weeks of marketing, they probably get to an idea of what the market's telling them about their property, and you're advising them about what the interest is.
Yes.
So they should be able to form an idea, but I think it's up to the vendor, whatever the reserve is that they want. And if you've done everything correctly, you've advertised what you think it is, it's up to the vendor then. Yeah. They may get the price or they may not.
I'll tell you one of our big dilemmas, Enzo. We've pretty much for about the last 10 years probably run with a price guide. Yeah. So we run with the price guide because we know the consumer is time poor, they want instant information, and they want to be able to look at something online or in print with us and say, I like that house, and yes, it's $1 million to 1.1.
Yeah.
As soon as we don't have a price guide on there, that we know the consumer's got to pick up the phone or send us an email. They're a bit irritated by that. So consumers want information straight away.
Yes.
So we've run with a price guide. Having said that, do you think we're safer in terms of consumer affairs and the public?
And not being attacked.
Do you think we're safer pulling off our price guides? Or does the REIV have a view as to whether we should run price guides or no price guides?
Yeah. Look, I think it goes back to the customer service that you want to give your prospective buyers and even your vendors through giving that information. I know that in this day and age of instant information that people want to know, and I know that there are some agents who don't give a price because the property might be unique, or they don't want to give a price unless you make an inquiry to them. It's about I don't know what's right and what's wrong. Personally, if I was going to look at a property, I'd want to know at least an indication of where you think the price is going to fall.
Could be, yeah.
So and that, I mean, people need to understand that's not the price it's going to sell for. It's an estimate. It's where it may fall. And if it's an auction, it's very difficult to predict what the eventual selling price is going to be.
So we've got in Queensland no prices. So everyone's walking around there just like throwing a dart, hoping to land somewhere.
But not only is there no prices in Queensland, go and ask an agent in Queensland. You walk through the front door, and the first question I want to know, and every consumer asks me when they walk through the front door, hello, Philip, what's the price estimate? And you go to do that in Queensland and they just look at you and go, we're not quoting a price at this stage.
It's going to auction.
Yeah.
Come to the auction.
Correct.
So that's great. So is
That
that
happened 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. In Adelaide, when I was working in Adelaide, no one gave a price for auction.
how can that be good for anyone?
Yeah.
Well,
It's frustrating.
again, we've moved on, right?
Yep.
So we've moved on from the 90s. It's now 2016. People want information, transparency, honesty. And if you know that, if you think it's going to fall between two figures, then give them that indication.
How do the new laws change things?
I think the new laws that were announced, or the regulations, actually going to be a regulatory change, are going to assist consumers or people who are looking to buy, people who are looking to sell, the estate agents. The problem at the moment, as I see it, has been one of a lack of understanding of what underquoting is, and in a rising market, yes, the first thing people say when they miss out, I've been underquoted, and they love to blame the estate agent, which is unfair, but that's what happens. Secondly, I think there's a bit of confusion out there in terms of the industry and how they price. There's a lot of different variations on, some use price guides, some use offers from, some use price.
Yeah.
The good thing about these changes, and I'll go through them, the first thing is there will be no embellishment of prices. So there'll be no price plus, no offers from, no greater than. All those things are going to be done away with. There'll be a single price, no price, or a range of 10%.
No more than 10%. Yeah.
10% range.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, now, we had some discussions with government on that, and we said, look, that might be a bit fine.
Because the valuer gets 20%. You know,
Yeah.
they've got a whole legal obligation and they have to do homework. We get less.
The rationale for the 10% is because you put a 10% estimate range on the authority, they didn't want to confuse people with a different, so they've said, well, let's keep it consistent. 10% range is what's on the authority. When you advertise a 10% range. Now, we'll see whether that works, and I'm sure the government, if things aren't working, we'll have a look at them with the government and see whether they can be modified and changed. So the price representation is going to be consistent around Victoria, which is what we tried to introduce back in 2008, I think, and didn't get much support on. If you get an offer before the auction, and the offer is in the form of a contract note with a 10% deposit, so it can be acted on.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
Very pleased to hear this.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be my
if
next
I could
question.
just cut in here, an offer is not you saying to the estate agent,
I'll give you $1 million
I'll
bucks,
give
yeah.
you $1 million. An offer is when you come into the office, you sign a contract of sale,
Accept the documents.
a vendor statement, a contract of sale, and give us a cheque for a deposit, normally 10%. That is what the industry and the
And
government
sorry,
has declared an offer.
Can I
is.
just ask also, what's the obligation of a vendor to have to consider offers? I mean, if I'm a vendor and I don't want offers and I just want to go to auction, have I got that right?
Of course you have.
Yeah.
You just need to advise people that it's going to auction, and offers before auction won't be.
Because
won't
some
be
vendors, they
entertained,
want
so-
to know what their house is worth at auction.
And also,
Yeah.
we get some fairly aggressive purchasers that we can have a discussion about. The vendor is going to auction. They are very happy to be auctioning next Saturday.
Yeah.
And at 1 o'clock in the morning, we'll get an email from that buyer saying, here is my offer.
These are my terms
These are
and
my
conditions,
terms.
yeah.
And I insist you pass the offer on to
and
your...
adjust your price
onto
guide
your
to let the
vendor.
market know. Yet, you know, we've had situations recently, a number of them, where we've actually gone after those buyers and they haven't actually documented the offer on the documentation. So
we
it
cut
wasn't
you off
bona fide.
because it was important though. But an offer is...
It has to be able to be acted on.
Okay.
Correct.
So,
And in that circumstance, you would be obliged as the agent to lift the price guide to reflect that offer's been rejected.
exactly.
Well,
Rip
I
the
think
price
that's very,
guide
I
to
think
that.
that's good.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's fair enough
I
too.
think that's good.
I think it's again transparent, and the main thing is that if you don't have a price, if you don't advertise a price, or if you advertise a single price, or if you advertise a range, you will give every prospective purchaser the estimate that you gave the vendor,
Yes.
with 3 comparables to substantiate that estimate. So if the agent said to the vendor it's 8 to 880, and here are the comps that suggest that that's what we think it's going to fall in,
Yeah.
then you give that information to the buyer. So
Really?
that both
So-
parties will have exactly the same information.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's an interesting...
And fair enough, at the end of the day, if there's more transparency and more clarity, the agents win, the buyers win, and the sellers win.
Yeah,
So,
I think these changes to the existing legislation actually make the Victorian legislation much better than every other state. I think it's much more progressive.
I just want to go backwards for a moment just so we can clarify that point.
Yeah.
If I come to see you, Enzo, I'm selling your house, I'm telling you via purposes of the auction authority that you're going to sign with me, I'm giving you an opinion of value of 1 to 1.1, and here are
Here's the
3
evidence,
supporting
yes.
houses that I'm drawing evidence upon.
Yep.
So I'm giving you the opinion, 3 supporting houses to justify that estimation. I'm now required to give that same estimation together with those 3 houses to the public.
Exactly.
Now, is that if they ask for them, or I've got to have it on display?
we're not sure yet.
Not sure yet, and these
We'll come back to your viewers on
these
that.
changes will come in on the 1st of July. But I would be getting into the habit of starting to do it now.
Yes.
When they do come in, it'll be on a prescribed form. So the estimate will be on a prescribed form with the comps attached to it. What we're doing here is working with COV on what that form might look like and have it made available perhaps from Vic Forms and property data.
I want to just pick up on that point. You said CAV. CAV viewers is Consumer Affairs Victoria.
That's right.
And they are essentially the governing body for the Real Estate Institute of Victoria. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, they oversee the legislation.
Not the governing body for the
Not the
RRV.
governing body for the RAV, the governing body for all
Estate
matters to
agents.
do with estate agents.
Exactly, and property transactions in Victoria.
And they'll tell you when you've been a naughty boy.
In essence,
Yes.
the people that carry the big stick is CAV.
Yeah.
How's the relationship with CAV and the REIV? Do you have a good working relationship with them?
We have a great relationship with CAV currently. We have a great relationship with the Minister for Consumer Affairs, Jane Garrett.
Do you have good access to her?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was at the awards last week.
The awards that we didn't
Her
win.
name
Yeah.
is Jane
Garrett.
Yeah.
So, Minister Jane Garrett,
Now, I'm not sure what you're going to
We put
say.
out this opportunity. We would love you to come on to GPTV.
For sure, she watches it every week.
Well,
Yeah. I'm sure she
if
watches
she doesn't, but how good would it be to have her come on the show? Actually, we could have a panel discussion.
We could.
I reckon she'd be great.
Yeah?
to have on
Do
the
you think
show.
she'd come on the show?
I'm sure if you give her enough time.
Yeah.
Or
Enzo's got
advance
her home address, so we'll just stalk her.
What about we do a panel session with you and her on the panel
Sure.
for GPTV?
We'll
That'd be
see how we
great.
go.
Minister's probably got nothing better to do.
No,
with it.
free for the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. Look, we've taken up a lot of Enzo's time, and it's great to know about the new laws because there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty. But it certainly sounds like it sounds like it's sort of confirming a lot that's there, and it's polishing it up and improving it as well.
The important thing about these changes and why it took a long time, there were a lot of discussions to and froing from the government, and we wanted to make sure that we had a solution that worked not only in a rising market,
Yes.
but in a stable market and in a falling market.
Yes.
Because we don't want, if underquoting sort of, this market changes and it stays flat or it goes down, we don't want other things being brought up as what agents are supposedly doing because there's a perception or a misunderstanding. So this should work. These changes would work in every market. One final thing that I forgot to mention:
Please.
You need to give the purchaser the median price in that
Oh,
suburb.
yes. It's interesting. I had a presentation from Paul Bird recently from here, who is
who is Paul Bird?
He is the policy and he's a policy and information officer, communications. Yeah,
For the Real Estate Institute of Victoria.
for the Real Estate Institute of Victoria. Yeah, of course. Everybody knows that, but you, Philip. But so Paul, he went into quite a bit of detail, and he was very good in terms of the way he explained it. And he did say that someone asked him, Paul, why is there this big deal about the median? The averages are more important because you can see how properties are moving, which I believe. But he also said, well, if you're a buyer and you're looking in the median of the suburbs there, well, 700 you should be looking in Clifton Hill, or for 1.3 you can look in Toorak or whatever. And that was actually good information. I thought I finally got it, why the median works and is important.
And they're all available on our website too, so if anybody wants to look at the median prices of all the suburbs, go onto our website at reiv.com.au.
Enzo, it's been fantastic having you on.
My pleasure.
Just in closing, I don't know whether you've noticed, but Gary's gone to quite a bit of trouble for you he's had his hair cut, and he's had finally his eyebrows.
I didn't think you noticed, Phil, but
What are you
mentioned
thinking,
it.
Enzo? Does he represent the face of real estate in Victoria?
George Clooney of real estate.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There you
Boy, was that a setup?
Does that make you the Brad Pitt, Phil? I'm not sure.
George Clooney, Brad Pitt.
There we go. Enzo, been fantastic having you on. You're
My
always a
pleasure
pleasure.
again.
And as I said last time we had you on, we got so much great viewer feedback saying it was great to have you on, and they learnt so much. So thank you again.
My pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Enzo Raimondo. We'll see you next week on GPTV. Bye.
Well, thanks, Enzo. And there is no question we're going to get a lot of positive feedback, because I hope that has been a really good explanation of what the laws are going to be.
What do you think of the laws?
Look, I think the good, and I'm actually being quite serious as I say this, we were well ahead of the changes. In fact,
been quoting ranges for years.
We've been doing this for years. We've got a series of paperwork, we've got a series of checks and balances to ensure that we stay as far away from the problems that whole underquoting
We
has
can't always get
created.
it right.
No, we
that's
can't.
the truth.
And you know, when we look back over the last couple of weeks with strong real estate markets where prices have gone ballistic, I think the public to close is absolutely fine when prices do sell for record prices, as long as they were on the market, declared on the market, somewhere that is relevant, at a price that's somewhere relevant to the quote price.
And fair enough too.
Yeah.
That's a big week on GPTV. We look forward to seeing you next week. In the meantime, thank you, Enzo. Thank you, Philip.
Thank
I'm
you,
Gary
Gary.
Peer. Bye for now.
Have a great week.